Hi there, my name is Isak. I work for Peltarion in Stockholm, Sweden. Today we'll demonstrate how you can save your company's NPS with operational AI and automation using the Peltarion platform. For anyone who hasn't heard of NPS or Net Promoter Score before, it's one of the most important key performance indicators when it comes to customer satisfaction and is simply calculated as the share of customers considered being promoters minus the share of customers considered being detractors. It's usually said to be about 6 times more expensive to attract new customers than to keep the existing ones. And to keep existing customers, it's good to take action and respond very fast when they are dissatisfied. Now, reading messages and responding to them is typically something that requires human hours, which is expensive. But the good news is that the Peltarion platform provides an easy solution for letting machines read, understand, and act upon received messages. And of course, it requires some manual setup, which is what we're going to look at today. I'll start out introducing what we'll build in this demo, and then we'll build it. And finally, we'll wrap up and tell you how to get started. For those of you who are watching this live, there's a QA at the end. Please feel free to ask any questions that you may have. So we'll build a simple app that, given free text customer reviews, uses deep learning to predict whether or not the customer would recommend a given article. And based on the prediction results, the app will connect with potentially dissatisfied customers and try to win them back as fast as possible. In this case, by sending them a message with a promo code. Now, oftentimes it's not that simple. This flow is mainly for simplicity, and it's a good start. If you'd like to make more complex automation flow, everything is possible. It will just take a bit longer to build. When we're done building, everything will be running autonomously using Google Sheets, Peltarion, and Zapier. Before we start building, we need to clarify 3 things: the dataset we're going to use, the problem type in terms of machine learning, and based on that, decide what model we can use to attack the problem. We will use a dataset found on Kaggle. The dataset consists of Amazon Kindle reviews. It has a free text review label. It has a do recommend label that simply tells if the customer would recommend or not. In other words, it fits our project very well. So for the problem type, classifying reviews and figuring out who is happy or not is what one could call a binary text classification problem. So we're going to classify a binary label based on a free text label. And fortunately, there's a perfectly usable deep learning model pre-implemented for this on the Peltarion platform, which is the English BERT. Now that we have what we need, let's go ahead and build. So we're starting out in the dataset overview. What we want to do is to upload the data that we're about to use. Select the file and upload. Give it a name. And check if it needs some cleaning. So we can see that there's a lot of missing values in this dataset. The only labels that we need is the do recommend label or feature and the text label or feature. So we'll deselect all of the features that we are not interested in for this experiment. There we go. And we're done. So I already uploaded the data. And we can look at it, either look at the features or look at the data in the table. And this gives a nice overview of the entire data set. Now, just to understand what we're about to do, we will try to predict the do recommend feature based on the text feature or label here. So given text, what value would the model predict of the do recommend label, either true or false? So we'll use this data in a new experiment. We'll just call it experiment 1. It's good for now. We'll go with the default values, default split, and move over to the inputs and targets. So we will have text as input, and we will have the do recommend target feature. Click next. The platform realizes that this seems to be a binary text classification problem, which is correct. We only have English text here. It's cased, but we'll use it either way. So this is a pre-built deep learning model. Everything seems to work fine, so we can just go ahead and run it. We'll move over to the evaluation overview. And when the experiment is running, we can follow along on the progress here. Now this will take some time. I've already implemented this experiment, and we can have a look at it here. So over time we can see that the model performs better and better, which is a good thing, and it stops after 2 epochs. So when we feel that the model is good enough, we see that we meet the requirements we have, we can go ahead and create the deployment. So we'll create the deployment simply clicking create. I've already done that as well. So we have it here. This is the URL, and this is the token. It's essentially what we're interested in. And now we're able to move over to Zapier and to connect to the model. All right, so we're ready to set up the automation flow in Zapier. First thing we'll do is to set up a trigger event. So we'll select the Google Sheets as our app. The trigger event will be a new spreadsheet row. Then we'll continue. We'll select our account and we'll set up the trigger. So this is a spreadsheet that we're going to use, and this is the worksheet within the spreadsheet that we're going to use for the trigger. So we'll test the trigger. Everything works. We can see that we find a row here. This doesn't say much to you as for the moment, but let's just look at the spreadsheet and see what it looks like. So I've just made up some data here. What we're looking at is just a row with some customer information about what they bought, and the review. So based on what the Peltarion model will predict based on this text as input, we will decide whether or not we should continue. In other words, we're about to make an action based on the text input. We'll select Peltarion. We'll select prediction as an action event. We'll set up the account and set up the action. What we want to input, as we said, is the review. And lastly, we want to test the action. So before we move over, we can test the action and see that everything works. And it does. Based on the prediction, we will create a spreadsheet row in Google Sheets. Same thing as before, set up everything. The action will be that we create a new row in another worksheet within the same spreadsheet. And we just want to paste the review and the output of the Peltarion model. It will look like this. So these are the rows that we will write. Given this text as input, this is the output from the Peltarion AI model. And we can see that almost all of these have a value under 0.7. The only one that is over is this one, which is duplicated here. So we'll test the action and then we'll continue. We will only continue if the model output is less than 0.6. Everything works. Finally, we will proceed and send an email to the customer given the model prediction. We will select Gmail, and the event is that we will send an email. We select the account and we set up the action. So we input the fields that we would like to use. Input everything as you want it. Write some sort of message. You can use plain text or HTML-based styling if you would prefer that. And finally, we will test the action. Everything works. We're ready to turn on the SAP. I've already done it. You simply click this button and we can look at the SAP history to see that the automation flow was triggered from new spreadsheet rows, which I inputted manually. Just go into your spreadsheet and input a row here. I can copy paste these 3 rows, for example. And after a while, new rows will pop up here and I will receive some emails. So we can see here in my various inboxes that I've received different emails saying that we're sorry. We can see that everything works just as we wanted it. Although this is a very simple automation flow, we're actually done for now. So in this project we learned that operational AI is really for anyone to use, given access to tools such as the Peltarion platform. You can build automation flows without code using Zapier, and connecting those two makes a really powerful application. Now, of course, you can build flows using code as well. In that case, you could, for instance, leverage the Peltarion platform for deploying models in production, which is really easy and intuitive. So if you want to get started, go to peltarion.com and check out all the learning material we have available. My recommendation would be to start out by taking a tutorial or 2, start playing up with the platform a little bit, and develop your skill set and knowledge from there. If you want to learn more about the automation flows used in this tutorial, you can check out Zapier at zapier.com. We have connectors to lots of different third-party applications. Zapier is one of them. Another one is Bubble, Microsoft Power Apps, etc. I really hope that you found this demo inspiring. We're really looking forward to seeing you at peltarion.com. Bye for now.